Hello, and welcome to a video on essay macro structure. This will be quite a technical video, and I'll suggest this will be most appropriate for students in Extension 1 or Extension 2. You'll need to have a strong grasp of thesis composition and a lot of mental agility to think about proving several different points at different times within your essay to prove an even larger point. The structure that I'm suggesting is inspired by the Hegelian dialectical method, which is a structure that he broadly used to propose his own philosophy. This has been adapted over the years, and this is a simplified version that makes it appropriate for essays of a realistic length. There are 3 points or three uh, phases to his style of argumentation. The first is the thesis. That is proposing your first level of idea, and this can be combined with critical lenses. I think it's easiest to apply with critical lenses. In my example, I'll suggest a feminist lens. Uh, I've crafted an example of this for us to work through. King Lear oppresses women through abiding by an angel-whore dichotomy, and that's using Margaret Atwood's words, her spotty-handed villainess's speech. Um, and that is a decent thesis. We've got our critical lens, although I haven't um, listed it explicitly there, but there's an obvious direction for this essay. He does something very radical to follow that. He challenges his whoops. He challenges his own thesis, and he writes the antithesis or the antithesis. So in our example there, you would try to negate that thesis. Uh, my example is men are equally constrained by their masculine performivity, which you could do a dichotomy of arrogant and weak or something of that sense. We start with a normal thesis. We try to contradict our thesis. And then at the end, you will aim to combine those two with what's called a synthesis. Now, in terms of structuring your essays around this, I think there are two approaches to this. Um, Try not to get bogged down on the amount of chaos. I would really pick one and stick with one. For me, the structuralist approach is my favorite, but I'm going to give you some options here. As well, I'll say this is more so for the aesthetics of your essay. You can compose a really awesome essay just with a thesis, and you can prove some really interesting things sticking to a thesis. But if you're looking to push yourself and your potential and your writing, then try to tackle all of these things at once. Now, with a structuralist approach, I would say that your thesis will be evident in your introduction and in the first part of your analysis, probably the first paragraph or two. So this will be intro. Introduction will very thoroughly um, introduce your thesis, terminology, the concepts, and maybe some of the background. You might introduce some of the theorists that have proposed your critical lens. Following that, your antithesis, I would say, will be the following paragraph or two. So you're just analyzing examples that contradict um, what you have already shown. That might seem a little bit scary to be trying to attack your own idea, but I promise this is effective and I would say much more persuasive than simply presenting one idea and blocking out all evidence to the contrary. Your final synthesis in a structuralist approach will be a substantial conclusion. So you won't introduce new evidence here, but you will have a lot of discussion about how these ideas interrelate. So I would say that is a substantial conclusion. I really like that method. I also really do like the post-structuralist approach, um, where all of these will be proven through analysis, meaning your introduction probably will include um, some allusion, some reference to all of these phases. Your introduction will be challenging, but I would think maybe the synthesis is your final destination, and that will be the main thing on your mind. The main thing you're proving is how all of these ideas interrelate and how they build a really robust, defensible, realistic idea about literature. So, in a post structuralist approach, you would include examples, you would include analysis, critical analysis, and maybe even evaluation of where, in my example from King Lear, you will provide examples of where women are being oppressed through having the binary of an angel whore. You would provide examples where men are being oppressed by being arrogant or weak, or depending however you want to do it. And you would also provide examples of people being oppressed by being given a gender. Um, Harder thing to prove, but I think there would be examples that you could find in the text. Um, Shakespeare is a big fan of challenging those conceptions of gender, the conceptions of appearance, uh, and I think that's about it. Shorter video, but a very dense video, something for you to grapple with. This isn't an easy approach to writing essays, but I think it's a really rewarding essay to, so really rewarding approach to constructing your essays and to constructing your analysis of um, complex ideas. Thanks, me. All the best.